What up, family, friends, even people who don't know me? My name's Daniel Allam. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So this video that you're about to watch is actually my first preaching video ever. Actually, wait. I might have lied. This is actually my second time preaching this Samson message, as I got to preach this message this summer to a group of young teens in a Christian mentoring program called 1012 Sports, located in West Baltimore. So yes, technically this is the second time speaking this message, but this is my first time uploading it to YouTube. The video you're about to watch is me preaching an InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, which is a group on my college campus here at F&M. This is a group where students on campus devote their time in community to learn more about Jesus Christ and having a relationship with him in college. So yeah, here are some pretty dope pictures of me during my presentation. Peep the fit, peep the drip. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy it and get something from this message. Please feel free to, in the comments below, comment, give me some feedback. What did I do good at? What do I need to work at? How did God speak to you? I want to hear all these things, all your feedback. So yeah, I want to continue to preach. And yeah, I hope you find this message touching. So without further ado, let's stop hearing me talk. Well, actually, you're about to keep hearing me talk. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into the message.
Like Brennan said, let's bring Daniel up. Let's welcome our very own Daniel. It's a great honor to hear the word from you. So let me pray for you. God, I thank you for the work that you're doing. I thank you, as Brennan has exclaimed, has proclaimed, that you're working in his life, you're working in our lives, you're working on this campus. And God, we look for your work. We want your work. We need your work. We need your spirit. And so we recognize your spirit is in this place. When your people are gathered, you are present. And so God, I pray that you would anoint the words that Daniel will bring to us. Thank you for the scripture that you have put on his heart. Thank you for the burden that he has, not only living out in his own life, but to love others and to see others walking with you on this campus and many other places that you have sent Daniel to. So, Lord, I pray that you would cause us to learn, and the words that are from you, that they would resonate in our hearts, and that we would be encouraged and challenged today. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, Brian. What's up, guys? How are we doing tonight? Awesome. Well, it's great to be with you guys tonight. Great to speak my first message. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, and I'm really excited that I just get to do it with my fellow colleagues and friends. So it's just an honor to be up here tonight. Bear with me as I put this up. We didn't have music stands, which kind of sucks. So we got this short little table that I'm gonna try to see my iPad notes from. So yes. There we go.
Daniel,
What's up?
do you want to just speak in front of the keyboard? Use the keyboard
Yeah,
stand?
my blocking thing.
Just use the keyboard stand. It's higher up for your eyes.
Yeah, or I could do that.
Just like a few corners.
That's right. Play a few chords.
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, we're just gonna put this right here. Awesome. Thanks, JB. Alright, well, welcome guys. Today my message is on Samson. With just a quick question to get started. Has anybody first heard of the story of Samson? Just by show of hands. Okay. So pretty much everybody. I guarantee you probably heard it when you were a little kid, Sunday school, VBS. Yeah, does that resonate? Okay, awesome. Does anybody know? Now, I did not know this before I studied this passage, so don't feel bad if you don't know. Does anybody know where the story of Samson lies? Which book?
Oh, is it in Judges?
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Now, one more question. Has anybody ever actually studied the book of Judges before? Nobody? You're on that? Okay.
Rita.
Okay. You got
We did a
one.
whole CG on it.
Yeah, I actually never studied the book of Judges until studying this for this message, preparing for this message. So yeah, what the book of Judges, let me just start there. Just for a little bit of background, the book of Judges, which also means deliverers, is about 12 unique leaders that God raised up among the people of Israel to propagate and to protect the nation of Israel from their enemies, from their enemies and from the nation of Israel's their own sins. The nation of Israel during this time was a very disobedient and sinful nation. They really were doing whatever they wanted to do, following their own desires, and they kind of forgot God. And previously, before the book of Judges, God had actually delivered the nation of Israel out of Egypt. I guarantee many of you are probably familiar with Moses, the story of Moses, and just all what God did for the people of Israel, the nation of Israel. And he got them out of Egypt, but they turned right back around and started living in their own ways, killing people, worshiping false gods. Baal was one of a big idol. Back at the time, people were very greedy and all types of sexual immorality and things of that nature. God raised up leaders that would basically, and I will read from Judges chapter 2, verse 16 through 19 to start us off, because this kind of gives us some context of what exactly is a judge and what was God's purpose for them. I will read. Then the Lord raised up judges to rescue the Israelites from their attackers. Yet Israel did not listen to the judges, but prostituted themselves by worshiping other gods. How quickly they turned away from their path of their ancestors who had walked in obedience to the Lord's command. Whenever the Lord raised up a judge over Israel, he was with that judge and rescued the people from their enemies throughout the judge's lifetime. For the Lord took pity on his people who were burdened by oppression and suffering. But when the judge died, the people returned to their corrupt ways, behaving worse than those who had lived before them. They went after other gods, serving and worshiping them, and they refused to give up their evil practices and stubborn ways. So I did a little bit of just reading, and some of those judges, there were 12 judges in the book of Judges. The first one was Othniel. He delivered Israel from Mesopotamia. Then it was Ehud. He delivered Israel from the Moabites. We have Shagmar, who delivered Israel from the Philistines. We have Deborah, the first woman judge, actually, who delivered Israel from the Canaanites. We have Gideon, who delivered Israel from the Midianites. Tola, Jair, Jephthah, Ibzan, Elon, Abdon, and finally we get to Samson. He was the last judge in the book of Judges. So now we know Samson was a judge. So Samson was a unique leader that God raised up to protect Israel from their enemy. But how exactly is Samson unique? How exactly is Samson unique? Well, first, we start off by seeing, I'm not sure if you can see too well, but picture's a little bit darker than I expected, but Samson actually has really long locks. So we see that's one thing that makes him unique. Now, why does he have locks? Was that the hair trend at the time? Maybe some of you are familiar with hair trends, but these days you got waves. That's a popular thing. Anybody resonate? By the way, that's me. That's me. We have waves. Maybe another hair trend, man buns. I'm not sure if any of you know. I know Brennan asked if you want to see a good man bun. Ask Brennan for a picture of him last year. He might show you. Or if you're a woman in the 90s, bangs? Resonate with anybody? Anybody have bangs for their little baby? Maybe? No?
No? Bangs too.
Well, yeah. So what made Samson, why did Samson have locks? Was it just the hair trend at the time? So what was it? Well, actually, through some research that I did, and actually Samson, he was just a Nazarite. A Nazarite is somebody who was consecrated, or, for lack of better terms, devoted to God, and they would not cut their hair nor drink any alcohol, and they had many other purity rules that God commanded them to live by to honor that devotion to God. Samson. Now, who did Samson protect Israel from? Because, like I said, every unique judge, every unique leader that God raised up, he used them to protect the nation Israel from somebody. Well, that, in Samson's case, was the Philistines. I will start off by reading in Samson chapter 13, verses 1 through 5. It says, "Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. So the Lord delivered them into the hands of the Philistines for 40 years. A certain man of Zorah named Manoah from the clan of Danites had a wife who was childless, unable to give birth. The angel of the Lord who appeared to her and said, 'You are barren and childless, but you are going to become pregnant and give birth to a son. Now see to it that you drink no wine or other fermented drink, and that you do not eat anything unclean. You will become pregnant and have a son whose head is never to be touched by a razor, because the boy is to be a Nazarite dedicated to God from the womb. He will take lead in delivering Israel from the hands of the Philistines.'" So, first off, we see, what are some things we see? Well, we see that Samson is obviously very special. Samson, we see that God set strict rules for Samson's parents to follow, for Samson to be born in this world. So obviously, this baby that's about to come into the world obviously has to be pretty special. God says, don't drink any alcohol. Don't eat anything unclean. And we also see that God gave him the mission before he was even born. He said, God's prophesying here and saying that Samson is to be a Nazarite from birth. He will rescue Israel from the Philistines. So we see this boy already has a mission before he's even born. This kind of reminds me of the verse Jeremiah 1:5. "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I anointed you as a prophet." So question. Who in here, just by show of hands, believes it's a blessing to be here at F&M? Okay. Who in here, I'm gonna ask another question. Who in here, and I know everybody might not be on the same page, and that's fine. But who in here believes God has specifically placed you here at F&M? Okay. And last question, who believes that God has a special mission for you here other than to get good grades? Okay. Awesome. Well, I know for me, God has had me on a couple special missions here at F&M other than getting good grades. So I'm going to tell you a quick story about one of the missions that God actually had me on. So one day, last year, was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. I was going to get my hair cut. Went to the barbershop, got a fresh cut, was feeling good. Sun was out. had gotten out of the barbershop and I was walking down. It was on, I think, a Saturday morning. I was walking down and I was going to go get some breakfast from this one spot. And I was walking down the street, going to this restaurant, feeling good, just got my hair cut, all that good stuff. I was walking down the street and I was walking, and as I'm walking, I'm going by the government center that's downtown in Lancaster. And so if you ever go by the government center in Lancaster, there's actually people who are homeless people who are dealing with homelessness stay there. And they have some tents, blankets, mattresses, things of that nature. And you see a lot of people who that's where, unfortunately, they live. I'm walking by and just walking up the street, and all of a sudden this lady, I see these two ladies and I'm all the way on the street, I'm on the street and they're kind of all the way across the street and kind of in the distance, but they're close enough to where I can see them, but I can't see their face. Like I can't make out his face. It's kind of just a blur. And I'm walking, and these ladies are like, hey, hey, and they start waving at me. And I'm like, I look over and I kind of pay no mind, and they're like, they say, hey, hey, and they're calling again, and I look back over and I'm doing one of these things, and they're like, yeah, you, like, come here. And I'm like, me, like, I don't know you, like, why are you calling my name? And so in my head, I'm thinking, like, okay, I'm trying not to judge, I'm trying to be a good person, but I'm like, God, I don't know why these people are calling me, I'm a little bit nervous, I mean, I love all my brothers and sisters, but like, some just, I don't know if I want to go over there, but I gotta do the Christian thing, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go over there, because they were like, hey, like, come here, and I'm like, all right, maybe they need some help, maybe they need something, So as I'm walking over there, I walk across the street, and in my head, I'm just like, oh my goodness. I'm thinking, I'm like, there's other tents around, so I'm like, somebody tries to pop out and, grab me, I'm gonna like, God forgive me, but, I gotta do what I gotta do to stay alive. So I'm walking over there, and I come over, and I'm looking around, I'm like, hey, like, you guys looking for me? And they're like, yeah, hey. And they were like, you're a pastor, aren't you? And I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, what? And I'm like, they were like, you're the pastor, right? And I'm like, I aspire to be one, because I aspire to be one because recently that's something that God's been putting on my heart, and I've finally come to accept. But yeah, I'm like, I aspire to be one, but not yet. And they were like, you're a pastor. And then I was like, yeah, like, I didn't say yeah, but I'm like, all right, I guess, like, and they were like, well, can you pray? And there was two ladies. There was an older lady and one that was probably a little bit younger, but there was two ladies, and they were sitting on this mattress. They were sitting on like some blankets, or maybe not a mattress, but some blankets, and the one lady was sitting under it, and the other lady was kind of sitting down right next to her, and they're sitting there, and they look a little bit ill, look a little bit just beaten up, and so yeah, they're like, well, can you pray for her? They're like, can you pray for my friend? She's really sick, and she needs healing. Can you pray for her? Since you're a pastor. And I'm just like, I'm not a pastor, but like, it was an amazing moment, because what in their mind told them I was a pastor? Like, what in their mind did they believe like that I was a pastor, and they felt the need to call me over? Mind you, when I got over there, if there was any confusion about who I was, they knew that, like, I don't know you, you don't know me, but they still felt the need to ask me for prayer, to ask me to pray over this woman and for her to receive healing. So they saw something in me that I don't even think I saw. And that gets to my first point, that the confirmation of something special. Here at F&M, here at this part in your life, I believe God is going to give you the confirmation of something special. Now, what that special is, I don't know. But each of you have gifts, you have talents. Some of you can sing, some of you can dance, some of you are really artistic, some of you are good at writing, analyzing, caregiving, nurturing. Whatever your gift, whatever your talent may be, each and every one of you has something, and God gave it to you. It's unique. It's only from Him. God gave it to you, and that's something special in you that He wants to bring out of you. And how is He going to bring out of you? How is He going to bring that thing out of you? It's going to be through a confirmation. So I'm walking along the street, minding my business. Like I said, in my head, over the last couple of months, I've been starting to believe more and more, just through people, through signs, through friends, through my own desires, that I want to preach one day. I want to be a pastor one day. And what did God do? He confirmed that. He confirmed that in such a special, in such a unique and unordinary way. Some ladies calling me from the street, hey, can you come over? Sure, I don't know who the heck you are, but So the confirmation of something special. Look for your confirmation of something special here at F&M. There's going to be people, there's going to be teachers, friends, faculty here at this school that will give you that confirmation, that will tell you, but you got to be seeking for it. And you got to be asking God, okay, God, what's that special thing in me? You created me. What's that special thing? Because we all wonder, why am I here? Why did God create me? But there's something deep down. There's something so unique about you that God wants to reveal to you here at F&M. And so as we read, and I think this is important, actually, first of all, this is important for the story of Samson, because we see, just as in the Samson story, God confirmed that he was going to be something special also at the beginning of his birth. What did he say? He said, before he was born, he said, you are going to be a Nazarite dedicated to me, and I'm going to raise you up and have you deliver a whole nation of people from evil and connect them back to my love, connect them back to me. So we see in the story of Samson, Samson was confirmed that there was going to be something special about him before he was even born. So as we go on in the story of Samson, as we go on, he gets older, he's born, he gets older, and I'm going to read from Judges 14, chapter 14, verse 1 through 4. So it says, one day when Samson was in Timnah, one of the Philistine women caught his eye. When he returned home, he told his father and mother, a young Philistine woman in Timnah caught my eye. I want to marry her. Get her for me. His father and mother objected. Isn't there even one woman in our tribe among all the Israelites you can marry, they asked? Why must you go to the pagan Philistines to find a wife? But Samson told his father, get her for me. She looks good to me. His father and mother didn't realize that the Lord was at work in this, creating an opportunity to work against the Philistine who ruled over Israel at the time. So just for a little bit more context, there was a great divide between the nation of Israel and the Philistines. The Philistines were ruling over the Israel by force of economical, political, and military power. So when it came to the relations of these two people, y'all could only imagine, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of segregation, discrimination, racism that happens, that puts a barrier between these two groups of people. So when Samson just comes home one day and tells his mother and father, hey, I want to marry a woman, from the other side, they're like, what? You want to marry her? Bro, do you not see what her people are doing to us? They got us oppressed, enslaved, they're stealing from us, they're killing our people off. What the heck is wrong with you? Why you want to marry one of them? And so yeah, they have a natural humanistic reaction. But verse 4 sticks out to me. Verse 4 says, his father and mother didn't realize that the Lord was at work in creating an opportunity to work against the Philistines who ruled over the nation of Israel at this time. So we see here that God is actually at work in Samson's heart right now. Samson sees this beautiful woman from the Philistines and he wants to marry her. God is actually at work in this. And it says that the Lord was creating an opportunity to work against the Philistines. So what do we see right here? We see that God actually sets in motion Samson's special mission. That mission, like I said, when we go back to the beginning, you will deliver your people, the Israelites, from the Philistines. We see God sets that in motion. And he's active, that mission is active right now as Samson sees this woman. And now he is going to go marry this woman. So what does Samson do? Samson sees this woman, he's going to go get married to her. So Samson throws this big traditional customary party for his people, for her family, kind of nowadays compared to a bachelorette party, but maybe on a bigger scale. I'm sure y'all are familiar. But Samson decides to throw this big party. And so at this party, who's at this party? Well, we got Samson's people and we got Philistines. So has anybody ever been here at a party with some people that you might consider the other side, might not like? I guarantee we all have, we're all young, so I know I have, so I'm not gonna lie to you. The tension in the room, he might have been feeling something, he might have been feeling a certain way. And so what does Samson do at this party? Well, here, we got this big party. And as we go down to verse 12, so we got this big party, right? Samson's at it. And I'm going to act this out. I'm not just going to read it word for word, but I'm going to try to act it out a little bit. So let's say I'm Samson. Samson's at this big party, right? And he's like, yo, let me tell you a riddle, you know? If you solve my riddle, he says, during these 7 days of the celebration, I'm going to give you 30 linen robes and 30 sets of festive clothing. In other words, I'm going to give you a bunch of fancy robes if you can solve my riddle. But if you can't solve it, well, top, you owe me. So they're like, all right, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got, bro. You know, there's that tension. So he said, out of the one who eats came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet. So he tells this big riddle in front of all these, and there was 30 other men that he gave this riddle to. 30 other Philistine men that he gave this riddle to. So imagine that. One man around 30 other people, or, you know, that is a big deal to be betting against that many people. So 3 days later, the people were trying to figure it out. And on the 4th day, one of the Philistines went to Samson's wife, and they told him, entice your husband into explaining that riddle for us, or we will burn down your father and we will burn down your father's house with you in it. So the Philistines now are seeing that Samson's about to marry this young woman. They're like, all right, bet. We got a way for him to tell us the riddle. So they go to his wife. Go get us the riddle. And so Samson's wife, what does she do? This is how you know. You gotta really watch out who you marry, guys. Look at what she does. Samson's wife goes to him in tears and says, you don't love me, you hate me, you giving my people a riddle, but you haven't told me the answer. And he's like, I haven't even given the riddle to my father and mother. Why would I tell you? What the heck? So she cried whenever she was with him and kept him up for the rest of the celebration. Bro, nah. And that's my wife. We got a prenup. You know what I'm saying? We got, I don't know, Lord. His wife starts coming to him. It says on the 7th day, he told her the answer. So for 7 days, she was going to him crying. It said she was tormenting him, nagging him. Oh, bro, oh no. Imagine your husband or your wife nagging you for 7 days for something dumb. I don't know. So on the 7th day, Samson gave in. So it says, so before sunset on the 7th day, the men of the town came to Samson with their answer. What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? Samson replied, and this is weird. I think this is what they said back in the day, but he says, if you hadn't a plow with my heifer, you wouldn't have solved my riddle. So I guess that's just another way of saying if you didn't mess with my girl, you wouldn't have solved my riddle. I don't know what a heifer is, but that's a topic for another day. Heifer, sorry. Thank you. But, so a lot just went on here. Samson's wife just ratted him out. She told the people his own riddle, so she tricked him. She's supposed to be marrying him, loving him till death do us part. But I don't know if she wants that, so he basically loses this riddle. He loses this riddle in front of all these people, and now what? He owes all this money because he gambled. Don't gamble, guys. And so what happens next? It says, and the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, killed 30 men and took their belongings, and gave their clothing to the men who had solved his riddle. But Samson was furious about what had happened, and he went back home to live with his mother and father. So now we see here what happens. Samson loses his riddle. He owes all this money. He's in debt. He owes all these clothes to these people. And what does he do when in the midst of trouble? Natural human instinct. He's like, what's the fastest way I can get this? So he goes to some town and he starts killing people. It says he killed 30 men. Now this kind of actually here highlights. Because like I said, Samson's a unique leader. I said that at the beginning. But what makes him unique? here we see it's obviously his strength. I don't know if any of you's gotten in a fight, but getting in a fight with one person is it's a battle. Killing 30 people? Guys, that's supernatural strength. I mean, I don't know. God forbid, that's pretty crazy. I can never even imagine that. So Samson's gift is his strength. He had supernatural strength. And we see, what does he use that for? He uses that to get out of a situation that he got himself into. And look at verse 20, it gets even worse. It says, so his wife was given in marriage to the man who had been Samson's best man at the wedding. What the heck is going on? He loses his wife now. He lost his riddle. He owes this money. He had to go kill 30 men. What is going on here? So we see the problem in this story is Samson took a risk. He took a risk, and he took a very big risk. It was the risk of something special. Samson took a risk of something, the risk of something special. This is vital in his story and how this kind of, his leadership, how his legacy kind of went on, because I don't know if any of you have ever risked something before, but risking something special like this is very dangerous, considering how special he was to God. God was going to use him to deliver a whole nation of people. But what did he do? In the moment of the party, in the moment of the crowd, he does something dumb and he risks it all for what? A little bit of money, a little bit of clothes, a little bit of fame. He risked it all. He risked it all. I don't know if any of you ever risked something special, but I know I have before. I'm gonna tell you one more story. So before I came to college, actually, so I play on the football team for many of you that don't know. I play on the football team here, and my freshman year, actually, we have what's called a captain's practice every summer. The captain's practice is orchestrated by the team captains. It's not like an official with the coaches and stuff. So I had a captain's practice, and I came up here for captain's practice. Had a good day. Played, practiced in the morning, and then it was like the team. We had a barbecue afterwards, and a barbecue and a party over at the football house. And for me personally, in my journey, we're in college, so a lot of people like to drink. I like to carry on, party, have fun, and me personally, just where I'm at, I told myself when I got to college that I wouldn't drink. Because I knew just from high school and previous experiences, every time I was drunk, it messed up. My priorities went out the window, and I was a wild guy. So I told myself when I get here to college, I'm not gonna drink, God. I'm not gonna drink. And I made that commitment to myself and to God. And so, we're at this party, we're at the football house at this party. Everybody's carrying on, having a good time. It was still a fun time. And I'm upstairs playing the game with some of my teammates. And one of my friends had come in upstairs, and he was drinking or whatever. And he comes in and sits down, and he notices that I'm not drunk. And he's like, hey man, you want a beer or something? And I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. And he's like, why? He's like, you don't drink? And I'm like, nah, I don't drink, man. And I was like, and he's like, and I'm thinking like he's just gonna get up and go away and leave me alone. And he's like, why don't you drink? And then, so I'm just like, yeah. And I just give it to him. I'm just like, yeah. Just here at college, I really I don't think it's right for me to drink. I tried it in the past, and I just know anytime I'm drunk under the influence, it's not good for my health, my mental health, my spiritual health, my relationship with God. So yeah, I'm just kind of putting it down. And he's like, and we're talking, it's like more than that, but that's kind of like the short version. And he's really into what I'm saying, and I noticed it, and I'm kind of surprised, because I'm like, wow, and so yeah, I'm talking to him about that, and he's like, wow, man, and he just stops and pauses for a moment. He's like, wow. He's like, I don't know if I could ever do that. He's like, I don't know if I could ever stop drinking. But he's like, if I ever did stop drinking, he was like, it's because of what you just said to me. He's like, if I ever wanted to stop drinking, that might be my reason. He was like, thank you for sharing that. And I can just tell he was so touched by it. He was so touched by it. And that really ingrained in me that day and kind of just made me really just really thank God, you know, because sometimes when we do things for God, sometimes when we step out on faith like that, it's hard because in our minds we're like, oh man, but I really want to have a step, you know, I really want to get turned with my friends, but then we're like, nah, I can't do that. So he really just, in a way, just showed me that God is working through you, Daniel. You know, you having to sacrifice some things, but God's working through you, you know. So that's the backstory. So fast forward, was this freshman year? I think this was freshman year. So fast forward to like springtime of freshman year, or like the end of football season. The end of football season, yeah, it comes around. It's November 13th, which is actually my birthday. My birthday, I have been through some stuff. So on my birthday, I decided, you know what, God, I'm gonna do my own thing tonight. So on my birthday, I was feeling good, you know. I went to the party, whatever, and I'm like, one seltzer ain't gonna hurt. I'll have a seltzer. So I go in the cooler, grab me a seltzer, and I start sipping on it. I'm walking around, there's another football party. We had just won our game that week, so everybody's turned, a lot of energy, all that good stuff. And so yeah, I grab a seltzer, and I'm drinking, playing cup pong, whatever. And I'm just enjoying, music's loud, like everybody's having a good time. I'm starting to feel a little bit, you know, and I'm walking around, and I'm like, one side of the room is dark, like people dancing, the other side of the room, lights on, still loud music, playing games and stuff like that. And I'm in the room lighted up, and all of a sudden he comes walking in. And when he comes walking in, it's like directly we make eye contact, and he sees me. And he's like, ah, and he starts laughing at me. He's like, you hypocrite. And he starts laughing at me. And I don't know, guys, like, there was something that, it was just like God was, like he was convicting me. He was really speaking to me in that moment. Because in my moment where I just wanted to have a little bit of fun, just this one time, God, it won't hurt anybody. Like, it's literally just one seltzer. I wasn't planning on drinking a whole bunch. I wasn't planning on getting drunk. And I was like, I'm gonna just sip, just have one seltzer. And he looked at me, he said, ah, you hypocrite. He started laughing. And I tried to justify myself. I was like, bro, like, it's only one drink. Mind you, the music's loud, so he can't really hear me. And he shook his hand, and he walked the other way. And something about that interaction, it was really speaking to my soul, because it was the risk of something special. It was like, in that moment, I didn't realize how much of a risk I was taking by picking up that one drink. Now, I'm thinking about myself. I just want to have a good time. I want to have a little bit of fun. It's only one drink. I'm drinking it. Is it going to hurt nobody else? No. But in him being with me on that first day at practice, and then hearing my story of how I was committed to God and how I didn't want to drink and how I wasn't going to indulge in that lifestyle, and then me turning around, even though it was months later, me turning around and being a hypocrite, lying to him, it was like it was so fragile, you know? Here, I know God has you guys, and you guys have many friends, and God's got you in many people's lives, and you're a living testimony to them. That person, that you're in that person's life, they see love, they see God's love through you. You are a living testimony to that person. That person may be going through horrible things. They might have a horrible childhood, they have trauma, horrible things might have happened to them, and the only source of love they have is you. So you're that living testimony. And I guess in that moment, when I was with my friend at captain's practice, I didn't realize that I was that living testimony to him. I was that living testimony that one day, if he wanted to stop drinking, it was going to be because of what I said to him. And so I didn't realize that when I picked up that one drink, I was risking it all for what? All for my pleasure, all for my desire to have a little bit of something to drink that night. So with that being said, I just want to emphasize how important it is to never risk something special. Like I said, each and every one of you here are special. You have a testimony. There's people in your life that God is working through you to show his love to them, to bring those people back to God. And don't risk that. Don't take risks here in college. There's going to be many risks that approach you. There's going to be drinking. There's going to be drugs. There's going to be popularity. There's going to be many things. Don't take those risks. Don't take those risks, because at the end of the day, you're only hurting yourself and you're only hurting the people around you. Like we often think that what we do, it only really affects us, or it only really affects our family, or maybe one or two friends, but it could destroy your whole testimony. And that's what kind of God was speaking to me that one night. And it took me a while to understand that, but in the end, I realized that. And that kind of reminds me of the verse of Matthew 6:24, where it says, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. Nobody can serve two masters. You have to pick. God says you have to pick, who are you going to follow today? Who are you going to serve? Are you going to serve me, or are you going to serve the Lord? Are you going to serve your desires, or are you going to serve fame? Or are you going to serve fortune? Or are you going to deserve whatever it may be? And not everybody looks the same. I'm not saying everybody has a problem with drinking. Everybody has a problem with smoking. But for me, that was my thing in high school. And so yeah, what are those things that they're temptations for? You gotta identify those things. You gotta identify those things, and you gotta have people that can pray for you with them. You gotta have people that you can go with on that Saturday night that will help you do otherwise. It's always important to find brothers and sisters that are trustworthy, that can help you stay away from those things. Because we all have our temptations. Like, we're human. Like, I'm not gonna sit up here and say, like, I'm perfect and I've stayed away from all bad things. Like, no, we're all human. We all have tendencies to lean towards certain things. But you have to identify them, and you gotta realize you can't take the risk of something special. Because when we connect it back to Samson, God's mission for Samson was to deliver the Israelites from the Philistines. And in the end, God actually Samson did deliver the Philistines from the Israelites in the end. But it was after so many mistakes, dumb mistakes, that Samson made. It was after so many dumb mistakes that he made, and so many risks that he took. So instead of taking those risks, don't do that. Make it easy. Make it easy for yourself. Make it easy for others, and don't take that risk of something special. And realize that God has something special for you. So yeah, that's all I have. I appreciate you guys listening in.